Hey, and welcome to Music News Hack. It's on the prosperous musician. Hope you can hear me. Hope you can see me. And so let's just dive straight in. It's April the 17th, and some juicy news which I've noticed this week, which is the Warner Music Group have struck a deal with Spotify, the podcast development deal. So this means essentially that um, Warner Music Group will see podcasts that tell the stories behind some of the biggest hit songs and get an inside look at the work of their favorite artists and songwriters. Now, this is music literally to my ears because imagine that. I mean, let's just have a look, shall we? Who is on Warner Music Group label for a start? So we've got people, relatively kind of up and coming artists, new unknowns like Ed Sheeran and Madonna, Linkin Park, Fred Zeppelin, I nearly said, Led Zeppelin. And then you've got the more sort of well-known acts like sort of Anita, Babe Rexha, you got Tones and you got all these Aretha Franklin, Wiz Khalifa, The Doors, the Ramones, Paramore. I mean, the Ramones are dead, so that's not going to be a great podcast. But you've got people like Phil Collins, Rod Stewart, these old rockers. People like Enya and James Blunt, Tim Buckley, who has also passed away, and Ray Charles, who obviously passed away as well. Rita Ora, you got Talking Heads, you got the Norwegian favourites AHA, Charlie XCX, the Smiths even, Pitbull, Kylie Minogue. The list goes on and on and on and on. And so you've got a real mixture of like classic sort of old legends, like people like Ray, I was going to say Ray Liotta then. He's an actor. Ray Charles, and you got David Guetta, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Frank Sinatra. I mean, all these stories to be told of these songs, all these stories from the artist's mouth, but also stories of the songs, songwriters. Now, this is exciting to me. Is it exciting to you? Let me know what you think. I'd love to know what you think down below in the comments down below, because it is, it's just, as a songwriter, and I don't think songs so much get. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix my hair. I should have done that beforehand. I don't think songs get they don't get the recognition that they deserve, and that's just not. It's not just me that thinks like that. There's Bjorn Ulvaeus. Now that might ring a bell, Bjorn. That's because he's from ABBA. Remember them? Well, he's 75 now, and he's talking out about songwriting. Now, he knows a thing or two about songwriting, right? So he's been researching ways to ensure songwriters receive adequate compensation in the streaming era, not in the live era, because obviously live music, we all know, that's a massive industry. And once the COVID thing eases off, the live music can happen again, then artists are going to get their income streams building back up again. But at the moment, with that not happening, they are relying on streaming very heavily. And he believes a partnership model, this is interesting, similar to Robbie Williams and Guy Chambers, could really work. Now, he's written an article about it, and he said record labels could encourage a songwriter in residence model where artists are paired with the songwriters at the development stage as a long-term partnership, and the writers would effectively become part of the band. So paid a regular salary. So that's a great idea, isn't it? So you get, in the 90s, that really worked, that experiment. Whoever put those two together, well done. So you've got Guy Chambers, a relative unknown, just pure non-performing songwriter. And then you've got Robbie Williams, who was, at the time in the 90s, one of, if not the most famous, biggest artist in the world at that time. Put them together and they came up with some amazing songs, obviously including Angels, Millennium, and so it goes on and on. So couldn't that happen again with, non-performing songwriters paired up with artists? Now he says it's a radical solution that will require imagination to match up the right personalities. And of course, maybe Guy Chambers and Robbie Williams, it wasn't so much about the writing as it much as was about finding their right personalities and matching. So it could be a great pairing, it could be a great fusion. Because he said the current system is dysfunctional for songwriters, and I agree with him on this. He's saying we live in an era where the song, fuels everything. So it's not so much about the artist anymore, because think about it. If streaming on Spotify is the kind of number one way people consume music, which it probably is, undoubtedly is, or other streaming platforms, then, and also social media, things like TikTok are breaking songs, not so much artists, because you're not really seeing the artist. People are using artists' songs. The song becomes the hook. It becomes the thing that people dance to. It becomes the thing that people mime to. And it shows that people using a streaming platform search more for the songs than they do for the artists, which means songwriters are more important than ever. But at the same time, they're getting less recognition and certainly less money from the likes of Spotify. So I think that's a really interesting point he's putting across there. And, for the longest time, songwriters haven't really been given the recognition they do. Now, if you take someone like Ed Sheeran, for example, whose story we may be hearing in this kind of Spotify, Warner Music Group kind of marriage, we could be hearing more about his story. Now, he is known as a singer-songwriter. He writes the songs and he sings them. And now that's great, because obviously he's a triple threat, really, because he can sing, he can play, and he can write, So obviously he's playing his own songs, so that's a great way of monetizing it. But if you're somebody like Guy Chambers, then it's not so easy, because you're not actually out there. You're just selling the songs, and the performers are selling the songs for you. You're getting the royalties, but at the same time, you're not really getting the recognition. You're not getting the performance pay that the artist would get as well. So let's see what happens with that. Let's see which pairings happen. Now, I'd like to see that with, what about ABBA? I mean, they all write as well, so maybe they pair up with a band. Imagine that, ABBA and Metallica or something. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? So look out for more information on that. And so let's have a look at what else has been going on in music news. And we can see also here some Music Business Worldwide, which give you the best up-to-date news. So in terms of mergers again, Sony is pumping millions into Epic Games. Now, Epic Games, of course, make Fortnite, which has been one of the biggest games ever. And so they're investing more into that. And it's almost like a new 1 billion funding round for Epic. As a result of the new funding, Epic Games says it's now got an equity valuation of 28.7 billion with a B. And Sony's 200 million equity investment have netted the Japanese company around 0.7 of the Fortnite maker. So even 200 million pounds, when you put it into 28.7 billion, only equates to 0.7%. So even though it sounds like a lot of money from Sony, it's still, there's still some big hitters that are dwarfing them at the moment. So let's have a look at what happened this day. So it's April the 17th. So Pink Floyd, the classic album Dark Side of the Moon, went gold in the US. The LP went on to stay in the US chart for more than 10 years. Believe that, making it the longest record of all time. Elvis Presley bought a Convair 8080 jet, formerly owned by Delta Airlines, for $250,000. He rechristened it Lisa Marie. Presley spent a further $600,000 in refurbishing the jet to include personal headquarters, a meeting area, and get this, a dance floor. Imagine that, being on that private jet with Elvis with its own dance floor. Elvis doing his hip shake and everything. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? What else has been going on? Nirvana, 1991, they demoed, or they, previewed their first, for the first time, Smells Like Teen Spirit at the OK Hotel in Seattle. What a moment that would have been. And also, 94, Pink Floyd started a 4-week run at #1 in the UK album chart with Division Bell, which was their 4th #1 album. They were huge, weren't they? Absolutely massive. Talking of other massive artists, 93, Bowie went to #1 on the UK album chart with his 18th studio album, Black Tie, White Noise. It was the first solo release in the 90s after spending time with his hard rock band, Tim Machine. He was just awesome, wasn't he? Just so prolific. And Morrissey threw his toys out the pram. Coachella in 2009, as he said, he could smell burning flesh at the Coachella festival, which was just people having barbecue, really. So, it's fair enough, Morrissey, that you're so committed to vegetarianism, but other people like a bit of meat. So you just got to think about that, mate. Anyway, what about what was on? So 20 years ago today, what took you so long to get this? That was the title of Emma Bunton's song. What took you so long? That was her first and only #1 single in the UK. And across the pond, Janet Jackson was All For You. That was the #1 in the States. And still, Shaggy. And did you know it wasn't just Shaggy who did It Wasn't Me? Everyone says it was Shaggy, but it was actually Ricardo Rick Ducent. He was also on the record. So that was #1 in New Zealand. That was 20 years ago. But more recently, 10 years ago, LMFAO was #1 with Lauren Bennett and Goonrock. Quite a combination there. With Party Rock Anthem, that was in Britain. And across the pond, Katy Perry and Kanye West were riding high in the charts with E.T. And further across the pond in New Zealand, it was Snoop Dogg and David Guetta with Sweats. So there you go. That's what's been going on. That's what's been happening this week in music, just the highlights there. And if there's anything you want to talk about, let me know what you think about this kind of songwriter, non-performing songwriter and massive artists, putting them together and seeing what comes out, like Guy Chambers, like Robbie Williams, putting them together and see what happens. And what about even artists like Ed Sheeran writing with unknown artists? And maybe they do that already. Maybe there's so many songwriters that are on credits nowadays. I think that already happens, but maybe they're just trying to do that a bit more. And maybe Bjorn's just out of touch. Maybe this already goes on and he's just not knowing about it. Anyway, let me know what you think. It'd be great to hear your views on that. And also any kind of music news that you're aware of that's coming up, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you'd like to hear a bit more of in this music news hack. And I will see you very soon. Stay safe. And of course, it's going to be pretty good when all the music comes back, and we're looking forward to that. So I'll leave you with that thought. What band are you looking forward to going to see when the restrictions are lifted, when we've all can go and watch live music again, and all this madness has ended? What's the first band you want to go and see? Or maybe you've already got tickets for them. Let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you next time. Cheers. Take care.